All right, guys, we're here rolling up our sleeves and diving into week one. And week one is all about critical opportunity presentation skills, right? If there's one thing that I know that we have to be good presenters in order to grow a business. And the more confident and articulate we are, the more successful we are. And if we can record that and not have to say it over and over and over again, that is the power of duplication and pre-qualifying before you get people on the phone with you. If there's one thing I've learned in LinkedIn, it's that, there's people from all walks of life looking for opportunities for income. And early on, I got a lot of people on the line just because they were interested in additional income streams. And they didn't have any background on what it was that I did. And I wasted a lot of time because when I would get on the phone with them, they'd realize what I was about, what I was doing, and they weren't interested. And it was a waste of everybody's time and everybody's schedule. So I can't underscore to you enough how important it is as you get going and recruiting on LinkedIn that you create an authentic presentation about the opportunity that you've put together. Yes, I said it, that you put together because you are an owner of this business, okay? So I want to take you back to basic LinkedIn, where one of the things I really trained you guys on was when you ask someone and you're connecting with them and you found a common point where it's time to invite them to take a look, you've said, if I sent you a video about the opportunity, would you take a look? So that's one place where you would send this video, right, that you're going to create. A second place that you could put this video is when you really get humming and people come find you on LinkedIn and they find your calendar, and we'll be learning about that throughout training, that they actually are required to take a look at the video before they get a space in your calendar. That was the second fault that I had in my system that I'm sharing with you guys so that you don't fall into those traps that I did. Before embedding a video into my calendar, I found a lot of randoms getting my calendar link off of LinkedIn, fascinated that I dropped out of corporate America, showing up on the phone with me before me pre-qualifying them with any survey questions or making them watch anything. I was just excited that they wanted to learn about a business. And 5-10 minutes in, we both knew this was not a good fit and they weren't open to what I was doing, right? So there's a number of reasons that pre-watch is so important and so critical, okay? So practice makes perfect, right? So maybe you're terrified to make this video. Awesome. I'm glad you're here. I'm here to help you grow as a network marketer and a business professional. And the cool thing is it's a video. It's not a ton of people. It's not a stranger. You can record and replay, record and replay, record and replay till you get it perfect. And that's okay. All right. So why is this presentation so important? I'm just going to run through a couple things that are really why they're so important. Presentation skills are critical to grow your business, right? We talked about that, and fundamental to your success, but also it makes it personal. We all have corporate videos. I get it. I used to use them. The thing is, it doesn't show you as the entrepreneur. It doesn't show you owning your business. It doesn't show that you actually know your stuff. If we're creating a know, like, and trust factor on LinkedIn, these people want to know you. They want to know if they want to join you, right? Gone are the days of just joining a company and joining an opportunity. People want to know, like, and trust you on a social platform before they're going to get on the phone with you to listen to the opportunity. It's professional. That's the second piece. It's super professional for you to own this and not be super spammy like a lot of other network marketers. And again, it shows your business ownership and leadership and accountability with this. And it creates, and if you're brand new to network marketing, but you're just blazing trails and you need your upline to help you create the video, by all means, split your screen and do it together on a Zoom, right? And record. You can get a free version of Zoom. And maybe you share a little bit of your testimony. Maybe you guys share the content together and you have the validation piece from your upline. That is totally okay if that's like how new you are. But even if you're brand spanking new, I challenge you, you can still do this, okay? It wasn't far into my business that I actually started creating my own videos. And I do think that attributed to some of my success. And your downline will be able to use what you put together, right? Okay. So let's get into what we're going to cover today. So that was just a little bit about why it's so important. The first thing I'm going to do in this course, this module, is just give you some tips and tricks for presentation skills. And then we're going to go through the core components of a good presentation. I'm leaning on Susan Sly, who is a top leader in my company who pushes out a lot of really great content on presentations. And so I'm going to share with you her formal kind of structure to a really good presentation. And then do know in the homework section of this module, I have crafted a template for you to get to work. I want you to brainstorm, get those creative juices going with that paper and pen, and just start filling out the structure of a good presentation. Start getting your thoughts out on paper about what you want to present about your business, okay? And so that's what we're going to be doing today and this week. And the goal is by the end of this week, so you've got a full week, I want you to record. I want you to record your first presentation, and I want you to share it with us. It may be the one you use. It may be a trial run, but by Sunday, I want it shared in our private group page so we can all take a look and we can all give each other feedback from this mastermind of amazing people, okay? All right, tips and tricks before we jump into the actual core components. So posture, you know, you don't want to be slouched over during your presentation. There's one thing I've learned is that a lot of new folks who are new to network marketing and making videos, their computers are too low. See how you're looking at me like right in my eyes right now? That's because I actually have my computer up on a box. When I first started, I would make videos and you could look up into my nose because my camera was too low, okay? So make sure that not only is your posture good, but that your video and your lighting is decent, okay? You can get a fairly inexpensive ring light if you guys need a link to where you can go to get a good ring light, which is just a light that goes, you can see the light right here on my hand, that goes behind your computer. It's going to make you light up. It's going to make just the video look a little bit better. So energy, okay, you guys notice from the moment I came on, you know, I'm enunciating, I'm smiling, I have energy. I might have done a couple jumping jacks before I came on, power movements. I'm going to go a little Tony Robbins on you. But people don't want to listen to someone who's in this kind of mode and talking about the opportunity, right? If we're talking about the opportunity and we're not making eye contact because we're kind of nervous and we are like afraid, guys, that transfers. We need to be powerful. We are business owners. We need to be confident. We need to have posture. We need to look dead into the camera, right? We need to have energy. I'd rather you be too loud than not loud enough because that energy transfers. You need to be freaking excited about the opportunity that you're about to present to these people. Now, don't go overly like salesy board, like don't go way overboard, right? But you want to be engaged. Like I'm fired up about training you guys today. I've got energy about it, but I certainly got myself into that mental state before I started this presentation because I am home with 3 kids right now juggling homeschool, and I was in my pajamas an hour ago, right? So I had to put myself together, get myself into an office, play some jamming music, get my mindset right, get my energy right, get the lighting right, and get your computer at the right height before you get going, okay? So those are some of my tips and tricks. Powerful affirmations. So those are another great thing before you get started with your video. If you've got something that you want to tell yourself, that you're an amazing presenter, that you're a phenomenal business owner, that you are a powerhouse recruiter, that you are manifesting some amazing business owners into your organization, whatever affirmations you need to get you juiced up, like please do it. Here's the other thing. Active phrases like imagine if, picture this. You know, I trained you guys on this in the avatar workshop in our first LinkedIn bootcamp. But when people can really feel themselves in your shoes and your presentation and they can relate to you and you can cast a vision, it's going to get them more engaged in your presentation and what you have to talk about. The other thing that I thought was really interesting, a statistic I looked at this week, is that 63% of people, when they watch a presentation, they remember the story, okay? They remember the story, but only 5% remember a statistic, okay? Stories sell. Stories sell. So I'm going to talk to you guys about that here in just a minute as far as like the core components of your presentation. But we need to weave stories into our presentations. And then lastly, let's see, just guiding the audience to see the world differently. So I do this weekly on our weekly overviews. I challenge people from the very beginning to, come to this presentation with an open mind, to, consider looking at the world, differently, right? And that I'm forever grateful that I was willing to look at the world differently, right? And I share that story, right? Okay, so those are my tips and tricks. Just wanted to get those out into the air for you guys to really think about. I'll throw those into a document for reference along with the core components of a phenomenal presentation in the coursework here. So let's get into the core components. So here's the thing. There's really just 3 basic core components of a presentation. You've got the introduction and the background, you've got the solution, and you've got the conclusion. It's that simple, okay? I want you guys to keep it that simple. And you really, and I'm guilty of this myself, but ideally you want to keep your video to like 10 minutes because people don't want to watch a really long video. I'm actually going to go through this coursework with you guys and create a new video for myself. So we're all up against the clock to grab attention and want people to learn more, but not give them everything because no one has time for everything. You want to pique curiosity, right? So introduction and background, solution, and then conclusion. 3 core components. You guys are going to get a worksheet on this, but let's talk about the introduction and the background. If you guys will notice my first video with you guys in the coursework, I walked you through the agenda, and then, so I told you what I was going to tell you, right? And then now through the coursework, I'm telling you, and at the end of the last course, I will tell you what I told you. So what do I mean by that? When you get started with your presentation, your opportunity overview, you want to give your audience a roadmap of this is what we're going to talk about, and then talk about it. And then you can neatly close up a presentation by recapping and telling them what you told them, right? So I want you to keep that format in mind as you're building out your presentation and making sure that you do have an agenda before you just dive into content, that you're letting them know where you're headed. Now, there's a nice segue within your introduction is that you really are going to start folding into the background and what the problem is and why you're here on the line with a video today, right? So you'll kind of be able to fold that, you'll kind of segue from the introduction to the background, and then we're going to dive into the actual solution. And this is where Susan's slide comes in, and this is where you guys will really be able to apply your workshop. But there's 6 critical steps per Susan's slide, I'm going to give her credit, on how to really just crush a presentation, any presentation, specifically for us, a presentation about our business model. And so the first piece that I want you guys to think about with your business and your product line is what is the universal problem, okay? Now, I find that we have a universal problem that we talk about from a business model and financial standpoint. There's also a universal problem probably with your product that you're presenting, right? So that's up to you how deep you want to get into the product universal problem and why your company is a solution versus the business being and talking about the universal problem with linear income and trading time for money versus your residual income as an entrepreneur in network marketing and what that financial model looks like, and that being the solution to the problem of linear pay. So that's where it can get a little, hopefully I'm not overwhelming you guys with this, but I think that's where the content you can weave both in. I personally would keep the product piece for a larger opportunity overview. Like you are recruiting people for a financial opportunity, right, with your business. So you may want to stay heavy on the financial model and heavy on the financial problem and why your business and your company is a solution with this really short 10-minute teaser video about entrepreneurship. But when you fold them into maybe a larger opportunity overview, you may get into a bigger discussion about what the end product is and why it fits a niche and why there's the business model in the first place. Hopefully that's making sense. But you have to be short and sweet with this quick video, right? So, but you want to start with the universal problem, and I will dive into each of these in a second, but let me give you the 6 steps. The universal problem, what are the current solutions that are out there and why don't they work, right? What is our solution and why is it better? Okay, what is our solution and why is it better? What makes you qualified to give the information in the first place? What is the scientific evidence? And what is the anecdotal evidence? Okay, so those are the 6 core pieces of content and the solution that you're presenting that you want to think about weaving in to your presentation. And then closing out with examples and stories is really powerful. Anecdotal stories speaks more than data for the most part. I include data in my presentations, but the stories speak more. Okay. And then obviously the conclusion. So let's get back to what is the universal problem. So when we talk about the core components of your presentation, I want you to start brainstorming. From your perspective, each company is slightly unique in how they approach and pitch their business, their opportunity. But what is the pain point, right? What is the pain point, the need, the problem that you want to speak to? It's an opportunity to immediately connect with the audience, right? So the universal problem, for me, a lot of times, you know, my pitch, the universal problem, my avatar makes plenty of money. They just have no time. And they don't really have an opportunity for creativity because they're in this corporate space and they're burnt out, right? So for me, the universal problem is time, right? And time freedom and financial freedom. So, you know, I talk a lot to the fact that I was financially successful, but I was not financially free. And that was the universal problem, along with not having any time freedom. So, you know, I was making the money, it was coming in, but my corporation owned me. I didn't have that time freedom, and they also controlled my income. You know, if I were to get ill or needed to take time off beyond the amount of time that they told me I could have, I wasn't getting paid. But even more than that, I was told exactly how many days a week I had to be on an airplane away from my family. There were many times that I missed vacation, right, because of my job. So for my avatar with my video, that is the universal problem, along with uncertainty of job stability, right? That's a big one right now. Universal problem of lack of control, okay? Lack of control of time, lack of control of money, lack of control of being creative and owning your own business, like however you guys want to spin it. I'm just giving you some ideas to get started with your content, okay? And that's going to give you the opportunity to immediately connect with your prospect who's listening to the video if you're speaking to them, right? Now, then you can talk about what are the solutions that are out there that don't work, right? So you can think about it. You know, what have people done out there and tried and attempted? Like I know for me, some of the corporate women I work with tried to scale back and work 3 days a week. And what it turned out to do is that they're overachievers anyway, and they ended up working more hours than the 3 days a week, and you didn't end up being underpaid, right? You know, other solutions are, we talk about the gig economy where people are still trading time for money. Maybe they're picking up side jobs. You know, I've got a lot of clinical pharmacists who pick up medical writing and pharmacy consulting, but the problem is they've still got to show up every time and recruit for the next sale. It's still linear. It's not residual, paying you out for life, right? You're still having to show up. So really think through with your business model and the market that you're marketing to, what other solutions are out there that aren't working for them? I mean, there's a solution to just not work and come home, but then you don't have an income, right? Or choose a job that's more satisfying but not make as much money, right? So then you want to drive them through that pain point of what's not working. What's out there that's broken in the model, right? Why is it not working? Why are people burning themselves out, gigging around their day job with side jobs that are burning them out versus creating financial freedom for themselves, right? And that's where you become the solution. That's where you segue into the solution. So the solution and the what's in it for them, you know, casting a vision to them of a different model and a better way. And for me, I love to get into Robert Kiyosaki and talk about the cash flow quadrant. I talk about that linear income being the problem. And I talk about that residual leveraged income being the solution. And then I draw the analogy directly to our Isagenix compensation model and how we are a profit share company of building a network of mass consumption that pays out residually for life, right? Now, this is where you're going to have to up your ante as a business owner to really understand confidently what your comp model looks like, okay? I can't do that for you because we have network marketers from all over. I don't know what your comp models look like, but I do think it's important that you're able to talk top level how that compensation model works in your initial overview to cast a vision for why people would want to lean in and learn it anyway, right? Okay, so then we talked about what makes you qualified to give this information, right? So you could go a number of different ways there, but this is where I think that if you have a financial story or you're headed in that direction of that financial story, it's an incredible thing to share. If you've literally left your corporate career or you're on your way to leaving your corporate career, talk about it, right? What else makes you qualified is that you are a professional who has chosen to pursue network marketing. Own that in your presentation. Maybe you're still working as a clinician. Maybe you're still working as an attorney. Maybe you're still working as a financial advisor, but you own the fact that you know that you know that you know that you have the tool, you have the secret, you have the opportunity to really grow and scale a legacy for you and for your family. That in itself, with power in your presentation and confidence, can be the credential piece, why people want to listen to you. You don't have to have arrived to share why you're headed in that direction. Hopefully that's ringing a bell for a lot of you guys. You know, and then also just you've been in their shoes, right? So drawing that line of, you know, I've been in a career where my children were sick and my nanny had to pick them up from the daycare and it wasn't me, right? I've been there, you know, cast a vision, relate with them where you've been in their shoes and why you are pursuing this, and cast a vision of the freedom it's going to give you if it's not given it to you yet. If it has given it to you, then by all means tell the story, tell the freedom story, right? Or have your mentor on the overview with you as your guest for validation to share the story. Totally up to you. Okay. Now, is there scientific evidence? That was one of the core 6 components. Is there scientific evidence? Economic data is great. So one of the things I like to do in our overviews is drill down. We start with the entire market. So with me, I'm in health and wellness. So you can look at the number of sales globally in health and wellness and really cast a vision of why this industry, this market is massive. What the income opportunity is because the sales are so high globally. And then, you know, niche down, right? Niche down specifically to your company. And so there's a lot of really great data that you can look at globally, probably. A lot of you are in some form of health or wellness, so beauty. And there's really great data on how ridiculously high the sales are in that, even versus like pro football stuff. Like, it's insane. I don't have the data on the top of my tongue right now. But that's where you need to be an expert in giving some actual like concrete data. Even though we know data doesn't sell as much as a story, it's factual. So we've got some great economic data with our network marketing company that we share. And even economic data, if you've got slides that show the massive growth curve of your company, like we're in absolute vertical momentum right now. I think we did 100% over in sales last month than this month because the market is that hot. that is data that we need to be sharing to these professionals you're recruiting on LinkedIn. So even clinical data, so I'm in nutrition and wellness. I'm focusing on the business, right? But if I've got, clinicians on the line, I've even toyed with creating an opportunity overview that has a little bit more clinical data in it, just because if I'm recruiting physicians for functional medicine and financial freedom, they're going to want to see some data on the product, right? But again, you have to think through how tight do you want this video, and are you going to be able to keep their attention if you get into too much data about the business and too much data about your product. And try to stay heavy on business, light on product. It's the end game that you can talk about product and follow up about product. You want to catch their eye with the business, because that is why you recruited them. And for many of you, this is a brain shift. You recruited them to take a look at the business. You didn't recruit them to take a look at the products. So let's talk about the business model first, get you engaged to becoming a committed consumer, because the business model is enticing, and then let's blow you away with the science of the products later, right? Okay, hopefully that makes sense. All right, anecdotal evidence. So we always have in our slide deck a couple of great stories, financial stories, even before, after physical stories, a little bit of both. Those stories sell. And your personal story sells. The anecdotal validation is important. So be sure that you're folding that in, all right? So those are, in summary, those are your core 6 key components to nailing any presentation. It's the universal problem. What are the solutions that don't work? Why is your solution better? What makes you qualified? Sorry, my eye itches here. What makes you qualified to give this information? What is the scientific evidence? And what is the anecdotal testimonials that you can share? And then you conclude. So remember what I said, you want to tell them what you told them. So a couple of bullet recaps. Tell them about the recap on the issue at hand and give your closing statement. And then don't forget to remind people in your video where they can reach out to you, how they can connect with you. Just in case they're seeing this video and it's not embedded in a link, a booking schedule, where can they contact you? You don't want that to get lost. So I hope this was helpful for you guys. In summary, just to remind you, I'm going to treat you guys like any other presentation and close out with telling you what I told you. So today, we really talked about tips and tricks to be super successful in presenting yourself as a professional in any video that you put together. Specifically, we dove into the core components to make a powerful opportunity overview in a tool video, short 10-minute video, to really engage and pique interest in your prospect, to get them on the line and prime them to A, know what you're about and what the opportunity is about, but also B, to qualify them. After they've watched it, they're either going to be excited to learn more or they're going to decide it's not for them. And you'd rather them decide it's not for them before they waste your time on the line. So the whole purpose is to really streamline your process as a professional and get the right people on the line so that when you do get them on the phone, they've got better questions and they're more engaged, and you're not saying the same thing over and over again. Rather, you're just filling the gaps and addressing their questions and closing them, which we will talk about in a future module. So you guys, make sure you go to the homework section and download your templates, start working through your presentation, and hit record. I want you to work through your presentation at the beginning of this week. I want you to create your own video before Sunday. It's okay if it's not perfect. You've got to start somewhere, guys. This is me challenging you to get uncomfortable. By Sunday, I want you to post them in our private Facebook group so that we can give each other feedback and watch the videos, okay? If you're not very technologically savvy and you're not sure how to do this, get a Zoom account for free, okay? And you can record your presentations there, and then that will be downloaded onto your computer, and then you can simply drop them into a YouTube or a Vimeo, I'm going to say it wrong, account, You've got to create one. Again, you're a business owner, upload them to create the video so that you have the URL link to embed. And I'm happy to address questions on that in our group if you guys are confused. That is it. I do believe. Get uncomfortable, get in front of the camera, and we will see you guys on the back end of your recordings.